You'll need a baking sheet, a piece of parchment cut to size on top of it, some Lollipop sticks, 2 colors of Jolly Rancher hard candy, 1 color for the center and 1 color for the petals. And then I have a 3rd color for the leaves. I'm going to use kitchen shears to cut them in half. And I use a plastic bag to cut the candies because the candy tends to go flying when you cut it. So I would either do that in a sink or into a baggie. And I'll even leave it in the wrapper, which also helps to contain the candy shrapnel, which can go flying everywhere. Just be really careful with your fingers. You can use heavy-duty scissors too if you have them, but it's pretty easy to cut. So those will be 2 of my petals. I'm going to use 5 petals. And then I'm going to arrange them in a circle. I'm going to take a darker piece. This is a cherry Jolly Rancher, and cut that in half for the center of the flower. And now I'm ready to put them in the oven. So here we go into the 275-degree oven. Now I'm going to put my timer on for, I'm going to put it on for 3 minutes. It probably will take 4, but I like to just check on it. So you want to stay right near the oven. I wouldn't go very far because it happens fast. So 3 minutes wasn't really enough, but sometimes I like to take it out and give it a little squish. And you can see that I use the oven mitt to protect my arms from the hot tray. And you'll want to wait a minute before you touch the candy because it's very hot when it comes out, and it could be liquidy, and if it burns your finger, it'll stick to your finger. But after a minute, it's a little bit cooler and it's a little bit easier to work with. So you can see it's not really melted, but it's soft enough that I can squish it down and just give it a little bit of a head start. And at this point, you could even reposition them a little, separate them from each other if need be. We're using them for cake toppers, but they would make such fun party favors as well. It looks like it's actually, it kept melting while it was on the tray. I think it's ready for the skewer. So I'm gonna just, you know, I put it on differently depending on the lollipop. If it's very melty, I'll just press it right on. But in this case, I'm gonna just wedge it in between the 2 petals into the center and then press it down because you wanna make sure that it gets melted candy on it so it adheres. And I'm going to stick the leaves on here. I like to put them a little offset from each other. So this is ready to go back into the oven to kind of smooth out and to get the leaves melted on. Okay, that's going to be another 2 minutes. But I'm going to stay right near the oven. It's a really good idea to stay nearby because at this stage, it goes pretty quickly. I think it's ready to come out. It's not quite perfect yet, but because it keeps melting while it's on the cookie sheet, it's better to take it out when it's under melted than over melted because it's really hard to come back from over melting. So like I did earlier with the petals, I'm going to just squish down the leaves a little bit. So as I'm squishing it, I'm also making sure that it's kind of going over the stick so it really adheres. And this is pretty close, but I'm very fussy. I love it to look perfect. It's a little bumpy here, and Jolly Ranchers really melt so smoothly. I'm gonna put it back in for 30 seconds or 45 seconds. I'm just gonna stay right next to the oven. But I will put the timer on because I don't trust myself. It's so easy to get sidetracked, especially if you have kids running around. I have over melted and burnt so many lollipops when I don't use the timer. So it's ready to go into the cake. I'm going to put it next to the other ones that I made earlier. Look how cute that is. So now you have a flower arrangement that doesn't wilt and tastes really yummy.